Hello and welcome to Daily Politics on Trust TV here in Abuja. On this program, we discuss issues around politics, policy, and governance. I am Suleiman Suleiman, and we're reaching you here from in Abuja. Today, our focus is on the rails to Aso Rock. The marathon to Nigeria's presidency has already begun. Early callers have declared their intentions, and more are certain to follow as the weeks run into months this year. But earlier this week, over 2,000 support groups promoting the presidency of one of the aspirants, Chief Bola Ahmed Tinubu, met in Abuja to harmonize their activities. Yes, you heard that right, 2,500 support groups. That is almost unprecedented in Nigerian politics. Meanwhile, Vice President Yomi Osinbajo is also being pressured by his own support groups to throw his hat into the ring. And yet, there are other potential contenders in the same region, like the governor of Ekiti State, Kayode Fayemi, who are bidding their time. And then some people have also said that the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aribiosola, will probably also join the race. So all of this make the whole of 2023 presidential race in the APC look like it's a Southwest affair, much like we had in 1999. But remember that these titans of the Southwest are members of the same political family. So we ask, are these allies on a collision course? Will there be a clash of the Southwest titans? And if yes, how will it affect the chances of the APC in the 2023 presidential elections? My guest today on the program, Malan Abubakar Kuso, who is the national coordinator, Comrade Abubakar Kuso. He says he prefers being referred to as Comrade rather than Malan. So he is the national coordinator of the Bola Tinubu Support Organization, and our very own Mr. Jide Ojo, a political scientist, a columnist with Daily Punch, and a public affairs analyst. You're most welcome, sir.
It's a pleasure. Good evening, Nigerians.
Thank you. So, but before we go into our discussions, we'll take 1 minute and 1 minute break. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Daily Politics on Trust TV. Now we go straight into the discussion. Comrade, you know, as you prefer to be called, let's start with you. As I said in my introduction, most of the people that, at least one person has declared. The national newspapers were flooded a few days ago with adverts about the vice president should run and run and run and run. And then maybe as time goes on, there are other people from the South that are going to come. Is this election a Southwest affair, the presidential race this time around? Is it all about the people from the Southwest?
Yeah, 2023 election is all about the Southwest. Because from what we saw today, the Extraordinary Committee of APC have zoned the national chairmanship of APC to North Central and the position of the national secretary to the Southeast. So the ball for the for the president of Nigeria come 23 now lies to the Southwest. And you've said earlier, the race of
if they zoned the party chairman to the Southwest, does that, to the North Central, does that not mean that everyone else from every other part of geopolitical zones in the country can give it a shot?
We are hopeful that APC as a party is a party that believes in zoning. As we can see, President
But there's no
Muhammadu
zoning
Buhari-
in their constitution, unlike the PDP, isn't it? The 2019 election was not based on zoning. It was based purely on who has the most votes or the most popular person.
It
in
was
the party.
based on gentleman agreement.
Okay.
But we know APC, our party, to be a party of integrity that believes in power shift. That's why most of these governors are saying the issue of zoning is a gentleman agreement. So we believe when President Muhammadu Buhari round up his tenure by 2023, the next presidential candidate will come from the Southwest. And that's why you see our leader, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, have told the whole world that he has notified Mr. President of his station. And since then, the whole media have been taken a bit by the news of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. As I'm telling you now, we are in the process of consultation, as he said. And we are hopeful that as the kingmaker and the father of all those you mentioned, the vice president, the governor of Ekiti State, are all in one same political family. And as we all know, the Yoruba people, they believe in their leaders. And they look at Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the national leader of APC, as their leader.
So, Mr.
I'm hopeful 2023 is there will be that agreement between the family.
That's all right. But Mr. Jido, some people would say that that's where the first problem actually starts. That I want to be president, and I'm informing the president, the sitting president, who has one vote, rather than informing Nigerians who have 85 million votes, you know, even though it is one vote each. Some people will say that itself is a kind of attitude, you know, about how much the voter is valued in our election process, rather than, say, the Godfather.
Well, that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
Whether he first informed his wife,
Okay.
his political family, or Mr. President. For me, it's an open secret that Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu was going to run.
Okay.
It's been, like he said, it's a lifelong ambition. So,
Yes.
Right from 2007 that he left power, he's been very calculative as to how and when it will be best for him to declare formally. But even members of his political family knew this man has an ambition to rule the country. What we are
So do you
told,
think the members of the same political family, such as the ones we're talking about, Fayemi, the VC or Simbanjo, and so on, Aribishola and so on, or even Ibikunle that some people mentioned, do they have different ambitions? Because political families are known not by blood, but by the same ambitions.
yes, you need to backtrack a little. I was laying the background of former governor of Lagos, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Okay.
If you recall, after 2007, when he exited as the governor of Lagos, he knew he couldn't contest in 2007 because of the unwritten rule of gentleman's agreement of power shift. So, and then he was in opposition. Lagos and AC, as at that time, was in opposition. So, of course, we saw how the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, you know, shifted power to the north. Even though, if you recall, at that time, the frontline candidate, the frontline aspirant, not candidate,
Within the PDP, or
within
from
the
South,
PDP, within the PDP was former Rivers State governor,
Many of them.
Peter Odili.
Donald Duke and so on. Yes.
In fact, it's Peter Odili.
Okay.
He was the front line, just like Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is now. He was the one that ran the most robust campaign to succeed Obasanjo. But Obasanjo negotiated with him to pocket his ambition that power will have to shift to the north.
But you are running a campaign group in support of Tinubu. And he is talking about frontline candidates. You know that in Nigerian politics, particularly in Nigerian presidential politics,
front-line candidates seldom win. They seldom make it to the presidency. You know, for example, Shehu Musa Yar'Adua was front-line in 1991. He never made it to the presidency. You can say the same about Abiola and so on and so forth. Are you people prepared for that eventuality?
Of course, we are prepared for that eventualities. And what makes...
So you accept it is likely to happen?
It's not likely to happen.
Okay.
What makes 2023 election, what will make it different from the 1992 election where you're saying where Yar'Adua could not make is 2023 election will be an issue of family. Okay, because all those aspiring come 2023, they are from the same political family. So as he said earlier, that he's in the process of consultation. So it will get to a stage whereby all the candidates will come into consensus. They will talk to themselves, because this will be the first time Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu will run office since when he left 2007. So this will be an opportunity for those that felt they want to contest as part of his family to look at how he mentored them, how he gave them opportunity of getting to where they are today. So I believe once we are done with consultation, the course will be very clear that we will take the day by the special grace of God.
Thank you. So this raises the question of moral burden for some of the people within the Southeast, like Fayemi, and particularly the Vice President Osinbajo, should he also declare his interest. Do you think there is a moral burden on them? Because Tinubu has been a sort of political mentor to them, which no one can deny reasonably. Do they have to live under the mentor's shadow forever?
Of course not. And you said something which is very historic, which is the frontline aspirants seldom made it to the podium. And we can't rule that out even now. Yes, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, eminently qualified. He has all the imprimatur of a good leader. He has mentored people. He has one of the most robust political family. He has been able to replicate himself in many people. But again, he has opened himself to public scrutiny more than ever before. And you will see that from last Monday when he went to meet with the president, last week Monday, I'm not talking of this week, it's been the issue in the media. And while there are those who are canvassing for him already, there are those who are also exposing what they believe is his dirty past. People are now talking more about his academic qualification, about his age, about his real name, about where he comes from. And that will shape issues in the coming days. And Nigerians will not want a very controversial president who will be taken to court even when he gets to the office.
But some people will say that Nigerians have actually always voted for a controversial president. Abiola was not uncontroversial. Obasanjo was never and has never been uncontroversial. Buhari now is never uncontroversial. So some people will say that Nigerians actually love voting controversial presidents. Do you think that should apply to your mind?
You know, it is all about what we have in our minds.
Okay.
The moment someone comes to contest for the president of Nigeria, that's when you see people digging out that he's controversial. They will start saying he doesn't have name. His name, he has a fake certificate. It has been a tradition in Nigeria.
It's a fair tradition.
Which I believe it's one of those things that is affecting us internationally. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu is one of the most investigated Nigerians.
Okay.
Obasanjo have instigated him more than 10 times through EFCC. He has been taken to Court of Conduct Tribunal. Okay, so if Asiwaju have a dirty past, right from his days as the governor of Lagos State, I believe by now he shouldn't be moving freely. So everybody is entitled to his own opinion, but I believe the time is coming whereby people will really know who really Asiwaju is. He has fought for Nigerian. He has shown Nigerian love. So I felt it is high time we stop using the word of blackmail to blackmail a candidate. He has paid his due as a Nigerian.
Is that blackmail or
Political blackmail.
scrutiny that is part of the democratic process?
I want to say it's public scrutiny.
Okay.
And you see, you cannot, at the risk of sounding immodest, Nigerians are very politically aware.
Absolutely.
Nigerians, and I want to correct an impression, Alaji.
Yeah.
And that impression is the fact that you said controversial candidates are the ones that win. It's not that they win. It's people like that the power brokers prefer to be in office so that they can rein them in. I don't know if you get my allusion.
Yeah.
Because if you are not blackmailable, you run like a bull in China's shop. So they want something that they can hold on you. So
But
that
in fairness, some of the controversy is created by how Nigerians view candidates, rather than what the candidates are or what they do or even say. You know, for example, when I said Buhari and so on, it's not because there is anything one can use to blackmail Buhari, but he is controversial because one part of the country is looking at certain things about him. Another part of the country, they are looking at a different set of things about him. Maybe it is the same for people like Tinubu or the same for people like Obasanjo and so on. So it may not necessarily be about
you know, it is said that if you cannot stand the heat, you don't go near the kitchen.
Okay.
I recall, you know, in 2019, Turaki Adamawa was as controversial as Buhari was.
Yes.
But you know, there is no court except court of public opinion has ever convicted Turaki Adamawa of corruption.
Absolutely.
It's been investigated, it's been tried. I recall in 2007, Obasanjo declared his seat vacant and said he cannot contest for the presidency because he has moved to join the opposition party while he was still the vice president of Nigeria.
Exactly.
And you recall how that almost led us into a coup d'etat about the 2007 presidential election, where the Supreme Court, you know, asked that he be put on ballot 5 days to the election.
Yes.
And all manner of allegations, and so there is always this burden. But you said something about whether Nigerians are being uncharitable by trying to expose their leaders to public scrutiny. It's the norm all over the world.
Absolutely.
It's the norm in many democracies. In US, people will dig if you evade tax, if you evade serving in the military, all of this comes to play. The case of Hillary Clinton, recall that it was also the kind of scrutiny, the issue of his mail, that somebody asked, and the leakages of 2 weeks to the election was part of what did me. So we are living in a democracy where there is no hiding place for anybody. Whether, in fact, and it's worse if you are a political leader, because then, you know, the questions will be asked whether you like it or not. And those questions, if you are not providing satisfactory explanation, you know, we know how it works. The fact that any court has not convicted anybody is like when you are asking a difference between truth and fact. Facts does not connote truth.
Not always, yes.
No, facts and truth are not the same.
Yes.
So the truth may never be known. But if you don't, the court will look at the facts of the case before it. So sometimes cases are struck out on technical ground. It doesn't mean that that person did not commit that crime, but because maybe the plaintiff could not prove his case beyond reasonable doubt. Because when you come into the realm of beyond reasonable doubt, it's like when you do in the game of football, you are looking for
let me come in briefly. This is where the issue leads to the chances of various candidates. Because, for example, the vice president, Professor Yemi Osinbajo,
He's been vice president for Buhari for 7 years, and so far it's probably had the least contentious vice presidency, or at least one of the least contentious vice presidency in Nigerian history. There's not been any fight, unlike we have had in previous administrations between them. And also he's just one step. In fact, some people would say one heartbeat away from the presidency. Do you feel that because he is, a mentee of Tinubu, is it morally fair to say, having come this close to power, to now say that he should withdraw for Tinubu? What do you think?
At this point in time, his supporters have been pushing him to contest. But for now, from his body language, we've not seen is he willing to accept their call to contest.
What does his body language tell you?
As a human being, Osibanjo might be interested. But I respect him for one thing. He might be looking at the political atmosphere. He might be looking at the body language of his principal, because it is not time yet. And he might be looking at how far they've come between him and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But I'm very sure the day Osibanjo declare, I believe we'll back to this radio station to talk about it. As I want to say about that.
What's likely to happen? Well, let us assume that he is declared today. What do you think is likely to happen?
There must be primary election, and a winner must emerge. We know our principal strength. He has been in the game for a very long time. He has participated in the process. So we are confident of the fact that when the journey gets tough, we separate the men from the boys.
Spoken like a politician. Now, the issue, to go beyond the political rhetoric to actual chances that each person has within the party of clinching the primary ticket. Suppose all three, or even all four, or all five, Ibikunle, Aribesola, Fayemi, Osinbajo, and of course, Asiwaju himself. Suppose all five of them declare their interest to be president, since they're all within the same party. What is the chances that each has to, make it to the finish line, as you put it earlier?
They all have fair chances.
Okay.
But you see, as eminently qualified as all of them that you have mentioned, from former governor of Ogun State, Senator Ibikunle Amosun, former governor of Osun State, Ogbeni Ralph Aregbesola, incumbent governor of Ekiti State, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, the current vice president, Yemi Osinbajo, and Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. All of them soundly educated, good politician. Maybe the least political among them will be the vice president, who is known to be a lawyer,
like
and
a technocrat,
and a technocrat somewhat.
But the office is for a politician.
But let me tell you one thing. You see, these five, and we are working on an hypothesis that whoever APC feels will be the next president. It doesn't work that way.
No, the chances of even winning the primaries.
The
is
primaries.
What we're talking about.
So let's for me, whoever the northern elite wants as the next president is who will get the ticket.
Interesting. Why do you think so?
Because they are the kingmaker. I mean, Professor Ango Abdullahi said it just 3 days ago, over the weekend. He said I think there was a meeting last Saturday in Kaduna, where he was saying that somebody said he is the kingmaker, he wants to be the king, and that it's the North that is the kingmaker. And I believe him. You see, politically, if you look at the strength, where does every aspirant, where do they derive their strength? It's from the North. North has the numerical strength. North has the intrigues, have power brokers. I mean, Dele Momodu is also an aspirant. Named the owners of Nigeria, as he put it, owners of Nigeria. And he mentioned Babangida.
But
He
some
mentioned-
people are saying all of these things are no more than conspiracy theories.
It's
Because
not a conspiracy theory.
The Ango Abdullahi that you mentioned,
Yes.
millions of voters in the north or anywhere else across the country don't even know who he is.
Yeah, they may not know.
It's not
who
that
he
he's
is.
not important.
It's not,
But the older generation is different from the younger voting generation. I doubt how much Ango Abdullahi is going to tell any Nigerian voter now and they will follow just because it came from him.
I'm not saying
The
because it
same
came
for,
from him.
for IBB.
You know,
and many of them are
I-
not even interested in
it will seem so.
Okay.
But when the chiefs are done, when we get to the brass tag, you see where their interest lies. I mean, let's even leave conspiracy theory.
Yes.
But I am a student of politics, and
Yes.
I know they are owners of Nigeria.
Yes.
Whether you want to believe it or not, it's like a mafia.
Okay.
There are those who call the shot, who will tell their loyalists, this is the way we are going, and people will follow. So let's not discountenance that. But
Okay.
having said that, and that's why you see Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, a very deft and smart politician. Since last year, which is why when I read about a group called Swagger, Southwest Agenda for Tinubu, saying that they are doing consultation, I just laughed. These people are just there to make money for themselves from the Asiwaju because they know he has a deep pocket. He's a billionaire. He can single-handedly fund his election. So people have seen Honeypot where they can go
Your guest, your mate on the program is accusing groups like you of just out there for making money.
But
Of course,
if I can land,
it's a friendly
on my
accusation.
thoughts,
Please
sorry,
land.
I'm
Please
not
land.
accusing him as a person.
Of course.
What I single out Swagger because all through the last 4 months of the
No
year,
one heard of Swagger.
they were moving around Southwest, visiting traditional ruler. He knows about them. Visiting traditional ruler and saying that they are consulting and they are trying to convince Asiwaju to run. Asiwaju have long held this ambition, so you don't need to coerce him, you don't need to cajole him, you don't need to convince him to run. We know he was going to run.
Absolutely.
So I'm only saying that if you know somebody has an ambition to be a king, and you are saying that you are going around spending time and resources to convince that same person who has never hidden his intention to be a king, it's sheer waste of money unless you have something that is driving you to do what you did. But that is on the periphery.
Okay.
The real issue, and I'm sorry my brother, you have your tongue. The real issue for me is about, like I said, Asiwaju made some deft move since last year.
Okay.
Recall that he took his colloquium
To Kano.
to Kano last year. When Katsina market got burnt, he made donation of 50 million. Recently, there was
Katsina.
another disaster in Katsina.
I mean, in Zamfara State.
He went there on condolence visit. He made another donation of 50 million. That is reaching out to the north. He knows that's where the bulk of the votes will come from. Because if you have, like it is now, apparently, and I'm not in support of those who believe that APC has already zoned presidency to the southwest. What they can do at best is to zone it to the south. So there will still be within the south consultation that will lead to maybe a microzoning, maybe to southwest, maybe to southeast, maybe to south-south. But what we are saying invariably is that the north owes the aces in terms of determining where the next president will come from. Because whether you talk of delegates, who will have the number of delegates, not as 19
This
states.
leads us to what if the party decides to do a consensus candidacy for the primary election. But before we go into that, we'll be taking 1 minute. We'll take a break now. When we return, we'll continue with the discussion. Stay with us.
If you're just joining us, this is Daily Politics on Trust TV. You can also follow the discussion via our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And of course, we're also back on Twitter. So as we were saying, what if the APC, because even now, you're having a consensus, the whole idea of zoning the party chairmanship to a particular region is possibly to follow the APC, what's it called? The PDP model, which is maybe the person is going to come out as a consensus candidate. And if you have the chairmanship position coming out as a consensus candidate, that gives a pointer that the idea of consensus is also likely in the presidential primaries. So what if the party decides to use consensus? What chance do you think your principal now has?
Well, if it's on consensus, we believe our principal have the 100% assure the chances of becoming the flag bearer. Because I believe the party will look into, they will, zoning a particular office to a particular zone is for that particular zone to look within themselves to field a candidate that can compete with the other candidate in the other party. So I believe when it comes to that aspect, as by the other speaker as earlier said, and also as Swadu said, he's on consultation. When the time comes, it's just a negotiation between South, Southeast, and Southwest. So the other believe the other zone, the other regions in the same zone, they will come together to agree on, okay, let so person take the position, and when we emerge, so person will take that so position. So I believe when we get there, as in our principal is very good in that game, I believe we clinch to get.
It's all right. So, but we cannot wait to get there because you keep saying when the time comes, and the politics is already out there. But we are looking forward to, and we hope we can have you again to tell us what's going on. So, if we get to that point, beyond the APC, when you now have one candidate, let us say that, don't you think that if that the primary itself, whatever process it goes, whether it is direct primary or indirect primary or consensus candidate, don't you think it will affect the chances of the of the party in the main election? That there is no way, if you are having a primaries between Tinubu or Simbajo and other contenders, that it will not leave a sour taste in the mouth that will follow the party across to the general election?
Well, what can prevent that? The scenario you have painted is possible.
Okay.
But what can prevent that is if due process is followed.
Okay.
And there is a level playing field. What I mean by that is somebody or any of the aspirants is not subverting or did not subvert the process. Maybe it's time for me to weigh in briefly on the controversy about adoption of a particular mode of primary. As we heard today, the National Assembly has even introduced the third leg, which is consensus, to be in the Electoral Act. So consensus, direct and indirect primary. I think that's the consensus that they have reached today from what is reported in the news media. But as I've said in my column in The Punch, none of this is immune from controversy and fraud. And if what you are looking for is a process-led primary that will be free of rancor, or that we have the least rancor, is the best thing is to ensure level playing field is created. There is no how can that?
Yes.
There will be guidelines.
Okay.
The guidelines is followed strictly. The committee set up to conduct the primaries do not have an anointed candidate, because the moment you have an anointed candidate, mark you, we do not know how much APC will charge for nomination form. In 2007, in 2014, ahead of 2015, it was 27.5 million that aspirants paid for presidential nomination. In 2019, it was 45 million.
Interesting. APC?
Yes, in APC. Initially, it was put at 55. After public outcry, they reduced it by 10 million, and it was 45. Of course, it was only President Muhammadu Buhari, and he didn't pay for it by himself. A support group from Kogi State allegedly procured the form for him. And that was why some of us were asking, when he was trying to raise money for his nomination in 2014.
2015, yes.
In 2014, because
December.
the primary held in
December.
In December 2014. Why didn't this same support group, why did they pay for him then?
At that time.
That time. Buhari said he had to go and take overdraft to be able to pay his nomination. And I recall that he came out, he called out his party and said, this is too exorbitant. 27 million there. That is too exorbitant. And Odigo Oyegun responded. Then he was the national chairman of APC. He said, well, they put the figure at that amount because they want to separate the boys from the men. And of course, about 5 of them bought the form then. Kwakwanso, Turaku, Atiku,
Simon Diazaya, Rochas Okorocha.
So 5 of them bought the ticket. But by 4 years after, the nomination fee was put at 45. We do not know into this year whether it will be 60 million, whether it will be 100 million. But that is one layer of discriminating against those who may want to.
But all of these parties, at least those from within the Southwest, or those we call the Southwest Titans that we're talking about, I don't think there's anyone among them who will be complaining that they will not have 60 million to buy the party, the forms.
You are looking at people who are politically exposed persons.
Okay.
But the party is not meant for those people alone. What about professors? What about businessmen? Or people
Certainly,
of
Professor Osinbajo cannot claim not to have 60 million to buy.
He's a senior advocate. But we're not limited.
Because
anyway,
he declared his assets even before he became
yes,
vice
he was
president.
even richer than the
Nigerians
president.
Remember that.
He was richer than the president by what he declared, close to 1 billion in assets.
Yes.
But I'm not talking of Osinbajo. Unless and Alhaji Sulaiman.
Yes.
Don't forget, this is just the beginning of the race. The aspirants are still testing the waters. They are still looking. You may have up to 20 aspirants, even from Southwest.
Exactly.
People you have not heard their names. We should not just look at it, because even the governors and former governors we are mentioning their names. None of them has come out like Asiwaju to say I'm contesting. Not Fayemi or any of them.
But he said earlier that to separate the boys from the men. And some people will think that as long as it's within the APC and candidates are from the Southwest, there are only 2 men in the race.
Asiwaju and others.
Osinbajo. Okay.
Or Asiwaju and others.
That's interesting. Why do you think so? Yeah, why do you think so?
No,
all the others are
others. They can be vice president.
Okay.
They can
all the others are boys, or
that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Asiwaju and others.
Go ahead.
Because we felt, if you look at political history, in a political history since 1991,
interesting.
the name of Asiwaju will be written in gold.
Okay.
His struggle for democracy, his fight from military to democracy, the Nidiko era, from becoming the governor, leaving office.
Some people would say Nigeria would have had a democracy even if Tinubu had not.
But
lived.
some people have to struggle for it.
Okay.
Because at that point in time, we were not sure if the military were ready to leave the power. Okay? But the struggle for it, do you think if Abacha was to be alive, we didn't know what might have happened. But Abdulsalam Abubakar, as a gentleman, believes at that point in time there was agitation and pressures to return to democracy. Okay. Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu struggled for Nigeria. So we supporters, we believe it is time to pay him back. We look at the number of times Mr. President have contested. Look at in his party, he gave Bale Ribadu a ticket. He gave a ticket to Atiku Abubakar. So now that he said he wants to contest, I believe, as the other speaker earlier said, did not decide who become the president. So also, The only Northerners cannot decide. We need the Southerners as well.
Okay.
And we saw the role Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu played during the merger. There was the initial merger, the first one, it didn't work out. The second merger, but the third merger, when he came on board with his team, we saw what happened. So I want us, we the Northerners should look at this as it is time to pay this man back.
Okay.
He was there for us.
But presidency, do you pay people back with the presidency? I thought the office is about what people are going to do.
It is
there.
because he has offered himself to serve.
Okay.
He said he wants to become president. And when you look at he has the capacity, he has the charisma, and he has the experience. So what I mean by paying back, it is he has paid his due as a Nigerian, as a party man. So we felt 2023, it is a time to support him to clean that ticket. We in Bola Tinubu Support Organization, we started this struggle since September 2019. What we does is the same thing he's doing. Consulting, meeting the traditional rulers, telling them we want Asiwaju to come around, religious leaders, our fellow youths, because we felt he is the person that we felt can mentor us to become leaders. We saw what he did. He had an instead of mentoring people. So we, the younger ones, we felt it is time for us to support him so that when he's exiting, he can mentor us to become the leaders. This will be the first time we have a Democrat, a politician trying to assume the office of a presidency.
Interesting.
From military.
So? Was Obasanjo not?
Obasanjo was a military man.
Yar'Adua was not.
Yar'Adua was a lecturer.
He's a Democrat.
I know, but he was a lecturer.
What about the former president Goodluck Jonathan?
Goodluck Jonathan was a lecturer.
Do you agree with this classification?
Okay. This is the first time because he has been a politician since he left business in the early 90s.
And the office of the presidency is for politicians only.
Of course.
So, that's all right. It's an opinion you are entirely entitled to it. So we look at other things. He is speaking, as someone who wants their candidate to win. That's entirely fair and is entirely acceptable in a democracy. The issue is there are other contenders as well. Not just within the APC, but even in the opposition party. So where does the PDP and what role does it play within this Southwest Tetons angle that we're looking at?
Well, PDP will play its traditional role of opposition.
Okay.
And PDP feels very strongly that this is its best chance of fighting back successfully. It's a rematch. It's like boxers or wrestlers having a rematch. Just like Anthony Joshua is taking a rematch with the person he lost to the other time. So this is a rematch between PDP and APC because whether there are more licensed political parties today or we had this 18 going into the election next year, it's still these two dominant political parties that will determine the next president.
Certainly.
Now, in the Southwest, we do not know of any, beyond Dele Momodu. Dele Momodu formally rejoined PDP after his earlier attempt at the presidency in 2011, where he didn't do well under National Conscience Party. Now, he said he has also been marketing himself as the most prepared person with experience, business clout and all of that. Experience in business, in commerce, in entertainment and all of that. And that he's been in politics since 1992, just like Asiwaju. But, that's the only person from the Southwest as of today that I know has openly declared to be president of Nigeria. But it's still early time in the race. This is January. When the new electoral law is passed and assented to, we know that by the end of the first quarter of this year, by March, it will be clearer who are the contenders, who are the also ran, because there will be two categories of contestants.
Yes.
The contenders and the also ran.
Yes.
And the pretenders.
The boys.
We want the boys.
Yeah, to use our language.
The pretenders.
Yes.
We have the contenders and the pretenders.
Yes.
So the pretenders will be there. But the real contenders will, and I know Asiwaju is a marathon runner. He came prepared, and he knew that whatever is thrown at him is capable of deflecting it. But it would be the issue, whether in APC or PDP. Asiwaju will be the issue to be discussed until if he decides on his own to withdraw. Because of the...
Let me just cut it short a little. You were speaking very strongly of Asiwaju's chances, particularly within or among northern politicians, the governors and so on, who have some affiliation with whoever the delegates are going to be, or the voters are in case of direct primaries. But what about their closeness to the Vice President Osinbajo as well? Because he has worked for Buhari for 7 years. He's been working, and throughout this period, at least to the best that people know, he's remained loyal to the president. And many of these governors, mind you, particularly those from the north, got to their positions almost entirely, or they owe their positions almost entirely to Buhari's what we call here Guguwar Buhari, in 2015, as well as in Buhari's hurricane, that is, in 2015 and 2019. Don't you think they too might want to reward Osinbajo for his loyalty as having been a vice president to Buhari?
You see, one thing with these governors that you don't know is they are very good in negotiation. Okay. The governors. Most of these governors are exiting come 2023. What they should be negotiating is what will be my stake in the party after I leave office. So they are very good in, they know when to strike. They've been observing with keen interest what's happening. And we should have it at the back of our mind. PDP are silently watching at us. Okay. The choice of our candidate will boost PDP's chances. They'll be look at the governor of Nigeria, where I come from, Babangida Aliyu. He's saying that no, they will support. Why is he saying he will support Osinbajo? Because they felt Osinbajo will be a carnival for them. That's their thought.
It will be easier for them to defeat. Okay. Because as
Mr. Ojo has earlier said, Asiwaju and Bola Tinubu, as far as he's alive and he shows his intention of contesting, is a force to reckon with in the both party. So the PDP are very wise. They knew who they can defeat because they are still hungry for power, forgetting that Nigerians have not forgiven them the damages they did to Nigeria. So they are looking with keen interest who will PDP feed, who will APC feed. Most of them are talking of Osinbajo, because they are scared of Asiwaju. Asiwaju has become a nightmare to them.
When we discussed chances of the various candidates, it was mainly focused on Tinubu. So as a final word, to the program, what chances do you think Osinbajo has, not just within the APC, but also in the general election? To the best that, as far as we can see,
his chances is very bright.
Okay.
He has very bright chance. And if eventually, as a political family, there is a negotiation and Asiwaju drops his ambition and endorse.
You see that likely? Because he said a lifelong ambition.
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. It could be a lifelong ambition, but...
You see that likely? Just one word.
As he said, it's a family issue.
Okay.
So the family can resolve and say, look, you are younger, you are more, you have less controversy, and I think I will endorse you. Because whether Asiwaju runs or not, it will still be a force to reckon with till death, because he has really sown and it's time for him to harvest. But the harvest may not be the president.
Okay.
The harvest may not be the president of Nigeria.
But that's the one he wants.
He wants it, but if God wills it for him, he will get it. If God does not will it for him, he will not get it. Because what I know is that Asiwaju, though came prepared and everything, there are still so many unresolved controversy about his person that people don't forget where we started from. Public scrutiny about his past, how did he make his money, the controversy about his state of origin, the issue about his academic qualifications, and all of that. there will be so many litigations.
So I think
around that.
This is where we come. I have to thank the two of you. Thank you very much, Comrade Abubakar Kuso, for coming on the show. Thank you very much, Mr. Jido, for always being here. Jido Ojo, for always being here with us, especially when we need you and on short notice. Thank you also for staying with us and staying with this program. We are now at the end of the program, and we thank you for being here with us. Do join us again same time tomorrow for another episode of Daily Politics. I am Suleiman Suleiman. Good night.